Welcome to the Cortisol Coach Podcast. If you're exhausted, gaining weight, losing your hair, your anxiety is through the roof, or the depression and emotional overwhelm have completely consumed your life, or maybe you're not showing up as the wife and mom you want to be. You've spent years never feeling good enough, taking care of everyone else while you quietly fell apart. And your body has been keeping score of every single bit of it. The chronic stress, hormonal shifts, perimenopause, menopause, whatever season you're in, cortisol is making all of it worse. And until you heal the root, nothing changes. But this show here is about to change that. I'm your host, Christine Marie, Holy Spirit-led biblical mindset coach, and I have helped thousands of women heal their hormones and cortisol levels. Every week, I bring you leading experts, doctors, and coaches who will help you heal your body, mind, emotions, and your spirit so that you can step into every kingdom purpose that God has planned for your life. So go grab your cup of coffee and let's jump in. In a world that rewards hustle, my next guest teaches women how to stop striving and start healing. Her name is Carli Reiners, a medical health counselor, life coach, entrepreneur, and she is the founder of Rural and Well, which is rooted in wide open spaces of rural Nebraska. Raised in a country lifestyle that values hard work, faith, and resilience, she brings both a grounded and deeply real perspective to a conversation that most women, probably you, desperately need but rarely give themselves permission to have. She has built and led businesses, served as a hospital foundation director, advocating for rural healthcare, and she has spent her career helping women, especially mothers, understand the importance of rest, nervous system regulation, and cortisol balance. But clinically, she works with women navigating perimenopause, infertility, grief, and chronic illness, collaborating alongside medical providers to support true integrated care. But what gives her message its deepest authority is this. She is a 2-time stroke survivor. So she doesn't just teach rest. She actually lived the cost of what happens when we do not rest. She's a wife, mom of 4 teens, and a woman who is living out the very rhythms that she teaches every single day. She believes that we are all beautifully broken and being restored, and that real healing begins when we stop striving and start aligning with what matters most. Carli, I am so excited. Welcome to the Cortisol Coach Podcast.
Oh, Christine, goodness gracious. I am just as excited, and I am just so incredibly honored to be here with you. Thank you for having me today.
Well, I'm excited for you to talk about rest. I know for me, rest was something that I felt almost guilty of. There was no time to rest. And I know for me and probably a lot of other high functioning women, especially over 40, who are wanting to be all, do all, impact their families in the most beautiful way, rest can feel bad.
You're not wrong. I mean, that's spot on. I'd say that's probably what I hear from 90% of the clients that I work with. It's almost as if like it's something we have to earn, right? Where it's just natural, innate part of who we are and our being. I mean, on the 7th day, he rested, right? I mean,
Right.
we are to sleep and we are to rest, but rest is so much more than just laying your head down on the pillow. And I think that's, to your point, what we see with mamas and high functioning women, just like, oh, it has to wait, or oh, I can't. Just that chatter that is so negative and it holds that connotation. And so, really, we have to flip the script there for sure.
It's so funny because my husband would always say, my kids and my husband would go sit down and they'd watch a movie. And he would say, sit down, watch this movie with us. And I would say, I can't. There's just too much to do. If you guys are going to rest, great. I'm going to go take care of all these other things. And so I guess that leads me back to my first question for you is what led you here? Like, tell us the story. What led here for you?
Absolutely. I mean, I think it started very early on for me. Just to be in motion, to be busy, to be high achieving. I remember being a student who was just like, oh, I've got to do it all right. On the outside, I'm really referring to like as a young woman, probably to most like look like I had it all together. I was very involved, president of this, checking the box here. But on the inside, already at like 16, 17 years of age, I was exhausted. exhausted. And that was just kind of the norm, at least where I grew up. I grew up in a small, of course, rural community. So we had the opportunity, right? So if there's an opportunity there, why not take advantage of it? If we can, we should, right? But I didn't understand limits and boundaries then. And so fast forward, right, I have this beautiful opportunity to be a mother and to be a wife. My college experience was great for the most part, but I was busy. I was working full time. I was studying, just all the things. And it's almost as if like we're like slapping on medal after medal after medal, like, hey, look at everything I've done. And socially, really, at least we were expected to. Like, this is what you do to get to the next level. And this is what you do to achieve this and to earn and to be and all the accolades. But you wipe all of that away. And it's like, at the end of the day, who is it about? And so, in finding truly my rest, it came from God. It came from Christ, my Redeemer that said enough. And it wasn't until recently, truly, after many life experiences that were challenging and rest was required, I kept pushing that to the side. And here today, working with women, it's important. But you had said earlier in the introduction, that is part of my story. I was forced to have to meet what I was teaching face to face. I was life flighted almost a year ago, last June, for the second stroke that I had experienced. Really had thought we were out of that chapter. And I remember being in the air and I felt something on my shoulder. I truly believe that it was Jesus Christ there with me. And that was not the flight nurse, come to find out. But I remember almost kind of bargaining, to be honest with you, with him, like, hey, if this, then this. But one of the things in my prayer was, Lord, just show me. I surrender. I will. And part of that will was just being willing to slow down and be willing to practice what I preach. And so I've never been more convicted than I am today.
So you've had 2 strokes, and the most recent one, do you feel like that was the most significant one?
It was in the way of my meditation and of my eyes opening. I'd say my recovery from that looked a little bit different and in the way that I was tired, just physically. But then what happens to your brain when something like that happens, there's recovery that needs to take place. And so in that, it looked like coming back to this message that I share so frequently, but how am I showing up in my own life there? Am I able to say no? Am I taking the extra 5 minutes? Am I dysregulating? And dysregulation is a big thing there. And I really, looking back, there's a lot of science behind what was happening. We're still kind of in the midst of my treatment plan of both prevention and understanding what was happening in my body and why this happened. But a dysregulated brain, whew, a lot comes from that. And so I'm really on a mission now to help teach women how to regulate their bodies and how to feel safe in their mind and in their bodies. And that's where true rest comes from there too.
It's so interesting because as you were talking about how this kind of performance and checking all the boxes in your teenage years, I was taken back to when I was just starting college when I was 18. I was working a full-time job at a coffee shop. I started college. I was volunteering full-time in the student center, and I was the community college legislative officer. And so I was also traveling to DC to lobby Congress and planning huge campaign events in the college. I was also on the Bush campaign. And then I was also a police explorer. We all have 24 hours in a day.
Right.
And I do remember I needed so much sleep every single day because I was so exhausted. But it was that early foundation of do more, be more to everybody that laid that foundation of what truly makes you significant and important in this world and in this life. And I truly believe us as women, we want to be significant. We want to matter. We want to be the Proverbs 31 woman and own all the fields and do the business and be the perfect wife and provide for our family. And yet I feel like we can be the Proverbs 31 woman. But the difference is where my strength comes from, because my strength was coming from me. And I've told my story so many times about how I met Jesus on the hallway floor when I was 37. So it took me 2 times as long from when I was in that place to when I truly met Jesus and surrendered and began that journey, because it's a journey on where does my strength come from? So tell me more about what you do, how you work with women, and how you use your expertise.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just a little taken back by your story there. So I'm gonna take a little deep breath here for a second. I just love learning that about you. And it's just so true, just the strength that he provides us. I see women in both a counseling and a coaching capacity. And a lot of the work that I do that relates to rest is just, again, re-instructing on proper regulation. So for instance, you think a threat, like you think your body doesn't know the difference between an emotional mental threat and a physical threat. And so a lot of the times this will happen in visualization, diaphragmatic breathing. We spend time literally just coming back to a neutral space, a safe space psychologically, where we're telling the brain, we're giving the brain permission and saying, hey, we're good here. I'm okay here. I'm safe. I can pause. I get to. And then just really being able to name all of that, to understand just environmentally, just again, the pressures, just the performance mindset, and being able to kind of just back off from that and not necessarily start over, but re-narrate how it can look for women that I'm working with. And to, gosh, this is a big piece of it, Christine, wipe away the shame and the guilt that comes with needing that. Again, something that is so innate and so necessary. It's like women that I meet with, they feel bad. Sometimes they feel bad about even needing to meet, right? Like, oh gosh, I have to prioritize this appointment and I should be doing this, this, and this, and this, and asking for help. Like I would say there's so much courage in asking for help. So when I have a client come to me and they're asking for coaching, there's so much courage in that to say, this is what I need and I get to, and I need to do something different. So I'm super honored for the work that I get to do, helping them to redefine what it can look like and knowing that it's okay.
A lot of us in our 40s and 50s and 60s, we grew up in this time period where we got gold stars on our papers in school. We were in spelling bees. I don't know if you were in a spelling bee.
Oh,
too.
yes. I misspelled straight.
And it was all about performance. I remember when I was in 5th grade, I was voted the mayor of our elementary school.
I love it.
So this was deeply rooted, but it was also celebrated. And I remember, what college you got into mattered, taking your SATs and your ACTs. And the focus was, how much can you do? How much can you be? And none of that is rooted in the story of Christ. From a man who walked with sandals on his feet through the dirt, probably slept on the dirt just to share the gospel. And yet we are so worried about the gold star on our paper.
That's incredible. I just did a visualization there as you were explaining that too. And so that's something that I would encourage the listeners to think about. Just a lot of the times the women that I'm working with, just imagine Jesus there resting next to you. Imagine his hand holding yours as you take a deep breath in and you hold it and you breathe slowly out. Imagine him permitting you to rest. Imagine him there next to you, encouraging you, inviting you, this loving, fatherly invitation for you to just sit down and rest next to him. And he also commanded it. Like he asked, Elijah rested against the tree, right? Like it was necessary. He was feeling lost and hopeless. And the Lord said, "Rest," right? So yeah, that visualization is pretty powerful there. Thank you for that.
So what would you say to a woman who does, just like you and I were at, feels like rest is weakness?
I'd fact find there. I'd really cover that. I would really cover that lie. Name that is a lie. Rest is not weak. Name that lie and cover it with truth. And then literally fact find there. Rest is necessary because I get to rest because rest helps me in this way. Like fill in the blanks, right? Rest looks like. Rest allows me to. All of those that it's just really a mindset there. But I think also going back to kind of like you had talked about earlier, Christine, that where it started, like when did they first notice guilt associated with resting? Whether that was requiring extra sleep, or whether that was asking for a break, or whether that was asking for a timeout, or whether that looked like play. I mean, play can be restful too. The art of play can be restful. But just noticing when that first started for them and then coming back from there and saying, okay, hey, no, that's actually not true. And also really defining where rest has shown up and where rest has helped them, right? Where rest has been positive in their life. And imagine this, like you're talking, I always tell women, like, imagine that you're talking to your best friend or somebody that you love, somebody that you respect, admire, and trust. Like, would you shame them if they came to you and were like, hey, I'm tired. I really just need a break. Or, hey, I'm tired. I'm gonna do this, but then I'm gonna take an extra hour today to just be. I'm gonna go move my body gently. I'm gonna take a little bit more time maybe after my lunch. I'm gonna sit down and pray and literally go to the well. Like, you would never shame them for
Right.
asking for rest. So why do we do it to ourselves, right? So I would just encourage other women to give themselves the same gentleness and the same grace that they so often are giving to everybody else in their home and in their workplace and in their environments.
So one of the biggest things for me, and this is the Cortisol Coach podcast, right? So I want to take
Yeah.
this back to cortisol because for me, I struggled with all the symptoms of high cortisol levels. And it was truly from living a life of chronic stress, being everything that I've told you so far and so much more. But a lot of it ties back to not resting and giving my body and my mind and my heart permission
Mm.
to just be. And I couldn't lose weight no matter what I did. And I remember having a conversation with somebody and she said, "You are too stressed out. You are just too stressed out. Your body is holding on to everything you eat to survive. It's trying to protect you." So my body did such a beautiful job and holding on to it because I was in survival mode. And then I would say, "Why am I losing my hair?" Well, your hair is a non-essential piece. I feel like
Let
it's
go of it. Yep.
essential, but your body is holding on to making sure it can make your heart beat, making sure your lungs work properly, making sure that it can keep your cortisol pumping
Absolutely.
because as you're in chronic stress, our cortisol was never designed
Oh,
to be flooding our body at the level that it is now. And cortisol is the main hormone that feeds all of our other hormones. So, talk to me a little bit about the significance of rest as just it applies to cortisol for this
oh,
woman.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, to be that dysregulated, to be in fight or flight constantly, to your point, I mean, we cannot go at that speed, full speed ahead all the time without there being some loss, some damage, if you will. And so, yes, I mean, our bodies are fearfully and wonderfully made and they know what to do. And so it's like, no, I'm gonna hold on to this. I've got to protect myself. And so until we tell our brain, until we permit it, until we allow it to be safe, your body will continue to hold on to that. It will continue to be in dysregulation. And so that's where things like breathing, I mean, that alone, there's a physiological benefit to that, of course. Obviously, the mental and spiritual benefit is there, but that is part of managing that cortisol because what we're doing is we're releasing. We're saying,
Right.
okay, we can let go. And it doesn't happen overnight. I mean, this how we got here, right? The high cortisol, the dysregulation, the go, 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 go. I have to. That didn't happen overnight either. And
Right.
so this does take practice. It does take intentionality to say, I've got to flip the script. I have to allow myself to rest because if I don't, you hear the word burnout everywhere, right? I mean, burnout, burnout, but that's what this is. That's how it's showing up on our bodies. It's just holding on to that core belly weight or the inflammation, the exhaustion that's coming out sideways. Those are the consequences of that burnout. And that burnout very often comes from us not being able to say no or us saying, yep, I can go an extra half an hour. Oh, you know what? I'm going to push through or I'm just going to be this, this, and this and not take a break. Again, it's not something that I have to earn this. Like, no, we should start in that mindset. Like rest should be the priority in the beginning of the day, in your middle of the day, and your end of the day. It is just as important as getting your water and your nutrition in. It is. You ask every client I work with, and I'm going to ask them about not just their sleep, but what their self care looks like, where they're taking a pause in the middle of the day. when they last took a good deep breath in. What did their outside environment look like today? Could you tell me the colors? Could you tell me the smells? Could you tell me what you heard? That's all part of bringing that down, lowering the cortisol and letting your body just.
I love that you just shared that because it definitely is a process and it takes time. And what you just described is being present in the moment. And I remember last weekend I went to a work event and there's so much focus on post on your social medias, post everything as it's happening. And I made this conscious decision before going to the event that I was going to live in the moment. I was going to try and make time slow down so that I could experience everything that I possibly could, so I could remember the colors, so I could have the conversations. And this was a first for me, and I've been on this journey for so long. But I want to encourage anybody who's listening to this that you can take the trips with your kids. You can take the trip with your spouse, and you can say, you know what? I'm not going to document this at all until after, or maybe not at all. I'm going to live right now. I'm going to breathe in. I love saying that. Like, I just want to breathe in this moment and live fully because tomorrow is not promised.
Absolutely isn't. And that presence, I write about this a lot, and I've said it like, and you've probably seen it on a piece of artwork or in a book or a quote, but like, right, that's why they call the literal present a gift. But if you imagine that again, like untying that, the gift of being present, gift of being mindful, the gift of feeling the air in your lungs, like that is part of the mental rest that we're describing today. And when you are, again, what you're doing is you're flipping the script for your brain. You are regulating your body and you are entering into a literal, like in the moment state of pause, which then leads to a state of rest. So you nailed it there. Yeah, absolutely. Be present.
Well, and rest and being present is what gives your body permission to exhale. And when you do that, your body can begin to feel safe and it can begin to lower your cortisol from needing to flood your body so that you can stay in fight or flight or chronic stress. Your body is just trying to keep you safe and comfortable. It is just trying to do its best job. And so sometimes it's just one time today for 5 minutes, I'm going to live presently and I'm going to rest. And maybe if you're anything like me, it's giving yourself permission to take a nap if you're tired, to go to bed early. It's permission to say, you know what? I'm not going to make dinner tonight because I need to go to bed or I need to go take a shower, whatever it is that you need. So share with us, what is one step that the woman listening to this could do today to begin the process of stepping into rest, which leads to helping her cortisol levels?
All the things, but honestly, sister, just believing that you are worthy of it, naming it, just naming that you are worthy of the very rest that you were created to have. And in that permission, then inviting God to be present in that. I think that's the first right step because then everything else comes from that. So maybe get out a pen and a piece of paper here and just commit to yourself this week alone. This is one way that I am going to introduce rest into my life because yes, I believe that I'm worthy of receiving it. And so whether that is the nap, whether that is the art of play, whether that is gently moving my body, whether that is diaphragmatic breathing, whether that is asking for help with a meal and preparing it, whether that is just literally stepping into the bathroom at work and taking 3 extra minutes and washing your hands and not rushing back to the office, it can be marginal, but just one thing, commit to one thing and then build from that. But ultimately, at the end of the day, you have to believe that you are worthy of it and that you were designed for it and that you get to.
I love that. I'm just truly so thankful, so honored, and so blessed that you joined me today on this episode. I know I could have used you 8 years ago. And so thank you for blessing our listeners today and sharing this. Please check the show notes so that you can find out how to connect personally with Carli. You can grab her free guide. And truly, I pray that as you listen to this, if you saw yourself in the striving, in the significance, in wanting to be all, do more for everybody in your life, that you take one step today, that you take one step in stepping into rest, ultimately helping your body regulate so that you can truly be everything that God created you to be. Because, friend, you are fearfully and wonderfully made. Friend, I am so thankful that you were here today. I pray this episode blessed you big time. And if it did, would you do me a favor and leave me a review on Apple Podcasts? It helps more women just like you find the show, and it may be the very reason that somebody else gets the answers that they need. I would also love to connect with you personally on Instagram. You can find me by searching Cortisol_Coach. That's where I show up every single day. And send me a DM. I would love to connect with you. I'll see you next time.